From Mamma Mia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Laura Brodnick, and today we're here for a very special episode because we are going to be decoding, discussing, and maybe fighting about Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. And because this is such a special event, I've had to bring in two experts. So we have Tina Burke. Would you like to share your Taylor Swift credentials?
Oh, no.
And I'll decide if you're allowed to stay at the table.
Okay, I am Mamma Mia's pop culture and social editor, so for work I'm very online. I've been a Swiftie since the Fearless era, and I met her in the Fearless era because I won tickets through the radio. So there's my credentials.
Very deep in Taylor Swift
Yes,
world.
I have touched her hand. We've had a moment.
Huge.
It's been fun. Huge news. Love her so much.
A few light restraining orders out there.
0.05% of fans on Spotify Wrapped every year. Listen to her more than some people listen to music in total. So I guess there's that. You know, I'm a Swiftie of sorts.
Okay, you can stay.
Thanks.
And on my other side, if you're watching this on YouTube, we have Brie Player. And can you explain your credentials? We might leave a good 10 minutes of the pod for this because you are our secret Swiftie insider for this episode.
Yeah, so I've been a fan of Taylor since debut era. When I have to give my sister a shout out, she said, you've got to listen to this new singer I found. We went and saw her in Melbourne at Billboard, the venue. I don't even think it exists anymore, but a venue capacity of about 300 people. Yeah. I have since seen her, I think, 17 times.
Wow.
7 of which was on the Eras tour.
I was going to say, you were like jetting across the world.
Yeah, so tour. I did LA, I did Sydney, I did Miami, and I did New Orleans. I have racked up just as many hours, if not more, than Tina has listening to her.
I would say more for sure, yeah.
I did calculate over the weekend how many minutes I spent listening to the Torture Poets Department. It was over 70,000.
Wow.
It's been a year, guys.
Yeah, so you
and
were...
that's this year alone, not even the album release year.
Yeah,
she's a big
exactly.
Swiftie.
Yeah. You were a big Swiftie. You're also the executive producer of Mamma Mia's podcast, No Filter.
I am.
But we've roped you in for this today.
Yes, you've roped me in for this today.
You are a Taylor Swift insider. You actually received this new album quite early. Is that, you can tell us through that?
I did, yes. So the last couple of albums I have been sent in advance to review, which I feel like is the whole reason why I do my job.
Yes,
and this one I got sent it a little bit earlier than I expected. I was actually out at dinner on Wednesday and it landed with me. And then I had to go and sit through an entire opening night of Rent with it burning a hole in my pocket.
Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't run out of the opera house and run home to listen to it straight away.
But I did as soon as I got home put it on. So I had a listen that night a couple of times through before I went to bed.
Yeah. And you wrote a review for Mamma Mia that we shared on the site and socials on the weekend, and everyone was sharing it across to, you know, have their big feelings, which we have many of.
So many feelings.
I have a lot of feelings.
So now we've established both your credentials. This isn't just a fan chat.
I like that my credentials is just I like her a lot. But I will say many hours of my life spent on the family computer back in high school, looking up every debut performance she'd ever done, being on YouTube. Does anyone remember when she performed with Def Leppard?
No.
If you do not, go watch it right now. She's like a teenager performing with like a 60-year-old rock band. It's so good. But we've dedicated our lives to loving her, so here we are today.
Yes, yeah. So now that I've got my two experts, so yes,
so we're allowed to stay at the table?
Absolutely allowed to stay at the table, which I must say you both decorated, or Brie, you've decorated.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on our YouTube channel.
This is why she's a better Swiftie than me.
Yeah, we've got the new record here, The Life of a Showgirl, which we're going to chat about. There are friendship bracelets draped across the table. There's Taylor Swift memorabilia behind me.
Yeah.
It's a real, I didn't even see that one before, 1989. Right
Taylor's
behind
version.
me. Taylor's version.
Do you want to tell the spillers what's on your wrist, Laura?
Oh, I have 3 friendship bracelets that were gifted to me by Tina Burke when she heard that I went to the Eras tour, which is the first time I've seen Taylor Swift live. And I really did like, spoiler alert, I thought it was a good show. Has anyone ever said that? I was like, this is a great show. This kid's great. And no one gave me a friendship bracelet. I don't know if I have an off-putting aura.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I think I do. People always say they're scared
Maybe
of me.
people could smell it was your first show.
Maybe, yeah. They were like,
they were trying to treat her nicely.
They're like
Don't
fake
scare her
fan.
away.
No, I'm a real fan. So Tina gave me these and I'm so excited to wear them and maybe I'll pilfer some off the table.
Maybe.
So we are talking about The Life of a Showgirl, which came out on Friday. It broke streaming records across Spotify, Apple Music and Amazon Music. It also sold, I think, 2.7 million copies in a single day, which is the single highest ever behind Adele. But then it also went on to break all the vinyl records, which I think is where the true fans, like yourselves, were buying with 1.2 1.2 million sold in the first 24 hours, which topped the Tortured Poets department. So Taylor Swift beating herself, and she's gone on to break many a record since then. So we're going to do first impressions. Brie, first impressions of the album.
Well, my first impression, obviously I listened after 3 hours of Rent late at night. But my first impression was that it wasn't what I was I didn't have any expectations. It wasn't what anyone was expecting, and that was the first thing that hit me. We know that she's returned to having Max Martin and Shellback producing this album after many years of Jack Antonoff and Aaron Dessner. So everyone was expecting really poppy vibes, which we got on 1989 with Max and Shellback producing, and most of Rep as well. It's not like either of those. And for the people that were expecting it, I think there's been some comments that people aren't that wrapped in it, that were hoping for a 1989 part 2. I wasn't hoping for 1989 part 2. I'm really enjoying it. I love this album. It's not my favorite album, but it will get a lot of rotations with me.
What's your favorite album, just so I know what we're kind of measuring against?
I would say Poets.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I would say Poets. And this is the opposite end of the spectrum. You've got like devastated Taylor versus happy Taylor.
Yeah.
Or like ecstatically confident happy Taylor.
Yeah.
So it's, total opposite sides of the spectrum. So I love a sad song, okay?
Yeah, that's so true. And Tina, what were your first impressions? Because you were sitting alone at home on Friday on his work day. And you were like, I could feel the tension across our like text messages and stuff on the day of the build up. So you were quite nervous.
I was nervous. And then 2 p.m. hits, and every group chat I've ever been a part of, everyone's texting me to tell me they've started, and they're live texting their reactions. But I'm working and setting live Bree's amazing review and putting it across our social channels and doing work to get all of this Showgirl reaction up.
I don't think your boss would have minded if you listened to this.
Well, you're my boss, so that would
you wouldn't mind if you listened to it.
And I was getting up social posts because Taylor posted some pics. So it was maybe 15, 20 minutes after it had come out, I start listening to it, and I feel like I'm getting bombarded with messages while it's happening. So it was a bit strange. But my reaction to the first 4 tracks was, this was nothing like I expected. I think the same. I didn't know what sound to expect from her. I think this is a different sound than what she has done before. The theming was very different. I was really enjoying it. I thought she sounded just super ethereal, even though it was poppy. I was loving it. Didn't love track 5. We can talk about that in depth later. But I think my overall reaction to the album is I really love some of these songs. They are songs I want to dance to. They are songs I want to blast in the car. It's not my favorite album, and I also am okay with that. The girl has given us her entire life and all of her music and all of her albums, and everything doesn't have to be for me all the time. But
it's
I do
a very
really
mature way to think of it.
I think if you see the way some people have reacted online, you'd swear to God that Taylor murdered them. It's fine. She can release a pop album and you don't have to like it. But I actually do. I really like some of the songs. I think they're really fun. And I had a good time. I'll definitely be playing this one on repeat. But no, it's not my top of the top.
Okay, so with that in mind, now we know where all our players stand. I think it feels like a good time to get into some of the reactions and some of the criticism and praise before we start deep diving into some songs from the album. So when it came out, there were some very, very positive, glowing reviews. Yours was very positive, Brie, Rolling Stone, quite a few others. There were quite a few negative ones. The New Yorker mag quite went to town saying that she's lost her sound. It's not very, just wasn't imaginative and inventive, and a lot of other very intense things. I think the standout critique for me came from The Guardian, who said dull, razzle, dazzle from a musician who seems frazzled. So very kind of across the board. And I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the biggest critiques of it, since you guys are in the weeds of it. And one of the biggest critiques that came straight off the back is that people felt misled by the Showgirl messaging and felt like she had done a huge marketing push with the Showgirl aesthetic, basically because she thought that would be very good visually, but it didn't tie into the album.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying this is one of the big critiques, and I think people want to know what you guys think.
What I will say is that I relate to that a little bit. I think she made it super clear that this was the life behind the scenes of a Showgirl, but obviously the aesthetic itself is Showgirl because she's in all the outfits. She looks incredible. And maybe she just wanted to look really cute in a sparkly thong, and I think that's okay. Yeah. But she looks amazing. She's in all this Showgirl stuff. I think some people were a little bit disappointed that there weren't more songs that were the really intense, like an intense version of I Can Do It With a Broken Heart from Tortured Poets. I think some people thought that would be the whole vibe of the album, but she made it pretty clear that this was her life behind the scenes. It's just that maybe it is a bit more focused on her like actual life and the things that were happening to her personally rather than here's what it's like to deal with all this pressure and all this fame. There's still songs that address it. There's still things that do, but I understand a little bit of the disappointment maybe, but I got over that very quickly.
Yeah, I think that like the artwork that we've seen with the big, you know, Ziegfeld volley plumes and Razzle, Dazzle and all that sparkle and everything, kind of there are people that have been misled thinking that they're going to get, I don't know, Broadway.
The Greatest Showman.
Like the Greatest Showman, right? But this is the album cover. Like we have seen lots of other artwork, but she looks like a pop star here. She looks like what she is.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if you know, she talked about in the making of the Ophelia music video that she wants to focus on the showgirl through the different eras to what she is today. And we did just see her stage the biggest show in the world. So her behind the scenes of being a showgirl in, you know, the 2020s is this.
And there are songs that address it and we're going to dive into them.
Yeah.
But in terms of, the criticism, like as much as I think there are valid things to critique, I think everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Some of the criticism I've learned to just brush off a little bit with Taylor because she...
Don't you mean shake it off?
Oh, look at you go.
Look at
Are
you.
you secretly the biggest Swiftie in the room?
so.
We didn't check your credentials.
Maybe.
But yeah, I do. I learned to shake it off because people react the same way every time. There has not been a Taylor album in my lifetime that people haven't reacted to by going, she sucks, she fell off, this is the worst thing she's ever done.
Except Folklore.
Which
then I think there were people that said it in quite a condescending way that she had
it was like sweetie, how did you do this?
Yeah, how did you do this?
Yeah.
You know, you managed to put out this album that's actually good.
And she said all in the lead up to this, right? This was supposed to be 12 type tracks, sonically themed, like really high production, really hyper pop, because the complaints about Tortured Poets department was that too many songs, not edited enough, too wordy, too whatever. And then, you know, for Midnights, there were complaints as well that like the pop sound they didn't like because it wasn't the same as Folklore and Evermore. And then there were complaints about Rep and Lover because those had too many cringe lyrics. Those had too many bops. So while I appreciate everyone's ability to complain and have the critiques that they want to have, I'm also like, it's just the way it is now. She's reached a height where people get mad. And that's
think
okay.
We're so used to it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same cycle every time. There'll be the glowing reviews that generally come from places that matter. You know, Rolling Stone, Billboard, the places she cares about and cares about what they have to say. The New York Times as well. Then there's always the negative ones because they get good engagement and all of that kind of thing. But also, you know, we don't need everyone to love it in order to enjoy it.
I'd actually love if they didn't because getting tickets was really hard.
Yeah.
You would love the fandom to just halve. So you
Do you know how I got floor seats so close to the stage in Reputation and then I couldn't even buy tickets to the Eras tour. I don't actually mind if she falls off a little bit. I'm not worried about that and I don't think Taylor is
I
either.
don't think
I'm
she's
sure
worried.
she'd love to.
And I think
She's
also,
like, "How dare you?"
you know, as you pointed out already, for people saying they don't like it or getting bad reviews or whatever, it's on track to potentially eclipse Adele's first week sales and is projected to hit 3.5 to 4 million.
Yeah. And I guess for me, the one thing from the critiques that I'm seeing from a lot of major Swifties and from maybe some of these reviews that I thought, you know what, I do agree with that, is that there wasn't that one standout song for me that normally like punches me in the gut. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about heartbreak or sadness. It doesn't matter what it is, but there is always like something on there that pulls out and really like you really relate to no matter who you are. And I am seeing people say that there's not necessarily a relatability in this album, and not because she's in love, because she's written about being in love before, but that maybe, and again, well, this is the life of a showgirl. It's not really relatable, and I don't think it was ever meant to be. But I do agree with the Swifties who were like, oh, I feel like they can't put their finger on what it is.
Yeah. And
they're like, something's missing for them, and I do understand that because I love a lot of songs and I'm loving this album, but I get it. There's something that isn't there for me.
And that's the other sort of criticism I wanted to get both your thoughts on, because one is that she's become overly unrelatable. There's too many mentions to wealth and her kind of star status. And the other one is that the lyricism, a lot of critics are saying, has fallen off, and there's some very unfair ties to Joe Alwyn, her former partner of many years.
Oh,
of
yeah.
People saying that he must have written the songs.
Shut up.
I'm going to know what your thoughts are on that. What do you think on that idea that people think both her lyricism and her relatability have fallen off too much in this album?
Well, I mean, I saw a tweet that said that, you know, she'd sacrificed bops for lyrics on Poets and then lyrics for bops on this. I mean, it goes back to the thing that, you know, people want what they don't have on each album and compare it to the previous one and the one before that. But everyone complained about
Torture Poets. I was defending that album with my life.
By the way, we all know Joe's pen did not touch that album at all.
That is lyrically stunning. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so getting into some of the songs, we're going to start with some of the happier bops at the top that very much kind of, I guess, chronicle her love story with Travis Kelce, which is Oh Polite Would, of course, and I guess also The Fate of Ophelia.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulls her out of that, like, Maddie Healy darkness. Like, she very much is comparing herself, obviously, to that character of Ophelia. And of all people, Hamlet to Maddie Healy. And who doesn't love that comparison? I'm sure he's having a great time today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The album opens with The Fate of Ophelia, which I wrote in my review, and I, picks up the thread from where Poets left off. She was drowning in a sea of her own tears and her own misery that was put there by a man who promised to love her. And obviously it didn't work out. And then Travis came along and rescued her from that fate of Ophelia. Then what follows are several tracks that speak to her, like, really confident happiness. And I think we've had her talk about being really happy and in love before, but there was always some sort of reservation there. And I think that's why this, for a lot of Swifties, has had that inability to relate to.
Yeah. And I think
where they feel that they don't feel that confident in their love.
Yeah. And, like, for me, these are, like, put them on, dance around while you're cleaning the house, go out with the girls, have a drink, have a dance. Like, they're very fun pop songs. No, I don't relate to it. I'm not happy and in love, but I'm still having a good time.
Exactly.
I think what's missing, like you said, is, like, I compare this album a lot to Lover. And that's because Lover was similarly quite a happy love album. There were a lot of songs on there that if they were released, like, on Friday with this album would also have been called, like, bad. The way that people are like, this album sucks. They said the same thing about Lover. But I think with Lover, there was a lot of anxiety, right? The undertone of the love songs was
Cornelia Street was already setting up for, like, I hope I never lose you.
Yeah.
Like, but she's projecting that she's going to on Lover. She knows.
Yeah, whereas now she's like, this guy saved me from my sadness. Yeah. And isn't this fun? Let's do a dance.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the most relatable for some people. I did see people saying online, this made me cackle, but I do think it's true. They were like, they bought tickets to Hairspray and then expected Les Miserables.
Yeah, oh my God, isn't that so true?
Like, she's made it clear this is an album of bops and, like, an album about how obsessed she is with her football playing bro fiance who she loves dearly. Like, yeah, maybe we're not going to relate, but you can have a boogie.
And I saw a lot of criticism too that it kind of misunderstood Ophelia's story from Hamlet. And I was a little bit like, but it's her. I don't think she's trying to tell, I don't think it's meant to be a history lesson in that particular Shakespearean story of the, like, there's been, thousands of words written about Ophelia's plight and what it means and how the men kind of wronged her in that and everything. I think Taylor's is sort of just kind of like cherry picking one little thread from that story and putting it into her song, and that feels okay. I don't think we need her whole story.
Yeah, I think people took it a bit
far.
When she said she was the English teacher, they were like, she's going to explain the plot of this play.
You guys might have to just read
Like, you might just need to read
one of the movies or something.
Yeah, do a Cliff's Notes.
Doesn't everyone look for what they relate to in a character? I mean, it's actually what Swifties look for and what we're talking about now, what they relate to in her songs. They cherry pick the bits that do. There are things that I relate to. Weirdly, I relate to father figure. But there's a lot of this album that I just don't relate to, and that's fine. I take away what I do.
Yeah.
I don't need to relate to every song in the world. Sometimes I just want to bop.
No. Yeah. And I really love, like, there's something mesmerizing about that first verse of Ophelia for me. Like, the way that something about Fortnight from Tortured Poets really, like, captured me. And I know it's just because it was a big song, billions of streams, I believe. But, like, there's something in the voice that's just so hypnotic to me that, like, that song, when I started listening, I was like, ugh. Like, my eye was twitching. I was like, this album's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
love the song. Tone and quality that she has.
Yeah. And then it goes into Elizabeth Taylor, which also is a bit, like, about Travis, and, like, it's like he's the Richard Burton, she's the Elizabeth Taylor.
The amount of people online who have said, I just found out Elizabeth Taylor's a real person, I can't deal with that. She hasn't been dead for that long, and she's one of the most famous Hollywood icons in the entire world. Like, I feel like she's this isn't going to become a history lesson on Elizabeth Taylor, but I could not believe.
This also isn't the first time Taylor's referenced Elizabeth Taylor. There was the reference on Rep.
And like, do we think she just likes saying the name because she gets to say her own name?
Maybe.
She's like, that's a cool way to incorporate it.
But also, you're going to
into
pick like one of the
lyrics.
biggest Hollywood icons ever, and someone who's synonymous with glamour, but also being ripped apart by the media, someone whose love life has been dissected, someone whose mythology became bigger than the person they are. Like, that's Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah. And I saw people saying like, oh, she shouldn't compare herself to her. She's an icon. It's like, but I think they've had a lot of similar shared life experiences.
I actually think Taylor Swift can compare herself to Elizabeth Taylor. And that's not discrediting Elizabeth Taylor's legacy, but she was a worldwide superstar. And I think we can all agree that Taylor Swift is also a worldwide superstar. So I feel like that's okay.
And I think the line like, be my NY when Hollywood hates me, that is like what makes it so Taylor Swift to me. Because she has famously escaped to her New York penthouse when the world has hated her. And like, I think that's a really great line.
And constantly uses New York as a symbol for the right man.
Yes. And speaking of the right man, we'll have to talk briefly about Wood, because that's another song that a lot of the critics got a bit touchy about, saying that it was too I know it's about superstition and black cats and nothing else, but that was also something the critics were saying was a bit cheap and just wasn't up to her usual lyrical standards.
I think the thing with that, first of all,
Brie sounds not happy about that.
Look, it is, when I first heard it, I was cackling because I was like, why am I hearing about Travis Kelce's penis over
also,
the beat
why
of Jackson
not?
5? But then I thought, why not? Because I have a great time listening to that song. And also the first lines of that song are, Daisy's bare naked, I was distraught, he loves me not, he loves me not. What a great way to talk about picking flowers off a daisy and seeing whether he loves me or not. So lyricism is not dead. Taylor Swift is here to save us with poetry about penises, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fun song, and she's leaning into the Sabrina. She's spent years with Sabrina as her friend, who's writing all of these fun, catchy, silly songs about like having sex. Is it a bit cringe? Sure, but I still had fun.
Or do you think that was modelled off Sabrina, which again is what people are saying?
Not necessarily modelled, because I don't think that she needs that, but I think she's like, I'm in my mid-30s. I can write about having good sex if I want to. She did it with Guilty as Sin on Tortured Poets.
Absolutely,
and I think now
she
that
did.
she's doing a fun poppy album, she was like, actually, why don't I have a bit of fun with it? Like every other pop girl that there is.
Yeah,
So true.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if she wants to go from, I don't know, the smallest man who ever lived to Travis and his redwood and sing about it, who are we to stop her?
Yeah,
Do you know what I
know?
do love is that there was an Ariana Grande fan who tweeted a really long time ago about Taylor Swift. And they were like, I guarantee you when Taylor Swift writes about sex, she's going to be like, his redwood sap fermented my oaky forest. And I actually think the redwood line in Wood is her acknowledging, because she has proven with this album, she might pretend she's not online, she has proven with this album that she is very chronically online and sees everything we all say.
Which I think we always
Which
knew
we
as
knew,
well.
Yeah, of course.
But she's referenced it a lot in other lyrics. So I do actually think, because people on Twitter went, oh my God, she actually did, how embarrassing. No, she's in on the joke, and she knows. She's just making fun of herself, that you would think that that's what she'd say. So she's going to say it. And it's funny.
And it's so funny.
Yeah, I do actually really enjoy that song.
Well, this is the woman that used to like track her fans so she knew who would invite to events and things.
She's
I actually
on the
think
webs.
it's quite nice that she's so in the weeds of what her fans are saying and not just concentrating on what critics are saying or what people who are giving awards are doing.
Yeah.
Moving on to one of the other songs that has really fired up a lot of conversation, Actually Romantic. So there was that moment on New Heights where she said actually romantic, and Jason Kelce was like, I know what that's about. But I think we now know it's not about Travis Kelce.
No,
it's about, who do we think it's
No,
about?
It's not about Travis.
It's about Charli
It's
XCX.
about Charli XCX.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Can you
look,
explain to people who are not across the discourse, which might be a lot of people? I
Could be a lot of
I know
people.
we live and breathe this world, but I think a lot of people are just like, what's happening between these two?
I will say at the top of this, I am a fan of Charli. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift.
I think we all are.
I really loved the song Sympathy Is a Knife. So if you don't know, it's a song that Charli released as part of her album Brat. It is a song where she speaks about another woman being in her space because they're dating two friends. And she speaks about how she wants all this sympathy, but she's also getting all this sympathy because she can't compete with this woman. This woman is, she says, like, I'm opposite, I'm on the other side, that this girl is like everything that she's not, and that she feels inferior to her and that she feels inadequate. And when Charli's spoken about the song, she's been like, it's very much a narrative of like the stories I tell myself, the self-doubt that I have, the way that I feel when I see this person and how bad they make me feel about myself. And the undercurrent of the song is, I hope she breaks up with him because I don't want to have to hang out with her. I don't want to share the space with her because she makes me feel like shit just by simply existing. That song is very widely believed to be, and it is about Taylor Swift when Taylor was dating Maddie Healy and Charli XCX was dating George Daniel, both of the 1975. Charli and George are now married. It was like a long time kind of coming that Taylor and Maddie would date publicly, you know, long-term 10-year situationship. For anyone who doesn't know, he's the muse of Tortured Poets Department. But when they broke up, after that, some things started to happen that maybe made it clear that, I don't know, maybe there wasn't friendship so much between Charli and Taylor. Then Charli releases Sympathy Is a Knife. Seemingly things are fine because Taylor's dancing to Charli's album at the Grammys with Margaret Qualley. They're having a great time. And we all just think like, you know what, it's over and done. And it's not.
No, it's not.
Because now we have the song Actually Romantic. Do you want to go into what the vibe of Actually Romantic is?
I mean, I think what's really interesting here is seeing all this discourse about it and seeing people jump up and down and really feel the need to stand up for Charli and
like she's
and
like a poor little girl.
Like she needs help. I mean, I think if anyone is not going to be bothered too much by this and also can stand up for herself, it's Charli. I find that really strange. I also find it really strange that people are taking Taylor's song and thinking that the only reference point is Charli's song. You know?
Because it's absolutely not.
It's absolutely not.
Yeah.
And they're saying, oh, Charli wrote this quite, you know, wistful song about
and
feeling.
It's a beautiful song.
It is. Yeah. It is. And saying, you know, I'm so kind of overwhelmed by your success that it makes me feel bad about myself. And that's quite a nice thing to say, really.
Yeah.
But
it's not a standalone.
It's not a standalone. And these people have private lives.
Yeah.
And people gossip and the industry is small.
Yeah.
And so little bits of information have filtered back to Taylor, which is referenced.
Which is clear from the lyrics.
I heard you called me boring Barbie. That's not on the song. So she's heard that elsewhere.
Yeah. And there is a tweet circulating.
There is.
That shows Maddie Healy in like June of 2023 talking about going to dinner with Charli. And Charli also talked about it. They both posted Insta stories. And on his to-do list discussion for the evening is to talk about his breakup with Margot Robbie. Famously didn't date Margot Robbie, but who else would be a Barbie at that Summer of Barbie and Eras tour? It would be Taylor Swift. And so if she's hearing that, like, as well, context spillers, Taylor did bring Charli onto the 1989 and Reputation tours. They have professionally worked together. They've, you know, been friendly in the industry, seemingly been friends. I assume
Taylor's given her that platform.
And I assume that they hung out when they were dating band members. Otherwise, where would the song have come from? So in Taylor's perception, probably like, oh, okay, we were friendly. They've broken up. She hears all this gossip. Then Charli releases a public song that's very seemingly like nice about her, but is still out of the blue. I can understand why for Taylor that has all read and there's all this personal stuff we don't know about. I'm very interested in who the leak is because they cross circles a lot.
Right.
Like Gracie Abrams, Margaret Qualley, Sabrina Carpenter, Jack Antonoff. There are so many people in Taylor's circle who are crossing paths with Charli's circle as well. But I do think it's a little bit strange that people are like, oh, poor Charli, she did nothing wrong. She just released this nice song and Taylor's bullying her. Like, I think there's more at play here. I also think we don't care when rappers beef. We have a great time. We don't care when other artists beef. For some reason, it's like this narrative of these two songs, which one song is You Make Me So Insecure About Myself. Taylor's song is That's Funny, I Never Think of You at All.
Yeah.
It's very cutting and very silly and petty, but that's the vibe. These songs are not actually being really vicious about each other. They're just being two pop girls singing songs.
Yeah. And on the vicious thing, it's kind of interesting because I saw a lot of criticism of people saying that she should be above this now. She's clearly the more powerful one. She's the richer one. She's the more successful one than anyone. And so it's embarrassing for her to be bringing up all of these like sort of smaller like grievances and things that she has. But I actually think that's super honest because I think we would all know, like, I don't think not that any of us would know what it's like to be Taylor Swift, but I think you would know that like no matter how successful you are and how loved you are, those little kind of, whether they're imagined or real, like slights from someone or somebody who was a friend or a professional person, like they're the things that keep you up at night.
Yeah.
They're the things that like pull in your chest. I've had days where like our podcast is going crazy, an article I'm writing is going viral and like I'm getting all this love across social and all this love at work. And then I'll be thinking of something that like a former colleague said to someone else that I know they said and like that, and that just eats away at you.
Yeah, and it eats away at all the good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that it's weird of us to think that Taylor Swift would be above that when she is just a human. And also if she doesn't write about that, then people are saying she's too unrelatable if she only writes about being a billionaire. So now she's writing about the most human thing you can experience.
Yeah.
And then we don't like that either. And just let the girl have even if it's a petty beef, just let her have it.
Exactly. And I think that is really what was going on behind the Eras tour. You know, she had that breakup with Maddie during the Eras tour. So what she was talking about, what she was texting her friends about and having conversations with, and, you know, she had friends like Sabrina opening for her, you know, and Gracie and the Haim sisters.
Yeah.
They're her real friends. So when she's sitting backstage in her dressing room with her friends talking, this is the stuff they would have been talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I guess for me, I was a little bit like, oh no, like because I think any Taylor Swift fan knows what it was like when like we were in that Reputation era and people just hated Taylor and felt the need to tell you that every 5 seconds. I've never hated an artist and felt the need to point it out.
No, they still do.
But that was how people behaved. And I just like, as soon as she did this and I saw it start to pick up online, like you said, where they're like, how dare she like actually speak out about this? She should have done this. I was like, no, she should have taken the hard because she was looking pretty good at the Grammys when she was dancing to Charli and not taking the bait. But I do think it's very human and it is very Taylor Swift to go and another thing. Like to go, you know what, I'm not going to just let the public perception be that all this girl did was write a nice song about me, because in Taylor's mind that's not what happened and she doesn't want that to be the thing. And all I'll say is Charli XCX herself tweeted that she hates boring pop stars and she said she loves mess and everyone needs to take things a bit less seriously because she said in exclamation points, nothing matters. This was obviously before the song, but that was her own thing.
And does this really matter? I don't think it does. Like, I will have playlists this summer where Brat and The Life of a Showgirl sit on the same playlist and I can enjoy both.
And I think
guess what? So can everyone else.
And I think if you remove this was the way this was dominating my feed this weekend was I genuinely was like, oh, you guys have like done something evil to each other, you would think. Like, if you take all of it away, it's a funny song. You don't have to like it. You can think it's a cringe song, but it's funny as hell to be like, you're
song.
Like a tiny chihuahua barking at me. And I don't think about you ever and I hate you, but also I've written a whole song about you. That's funny.
Yeah, and that was such a specific callback to the early 2000s.
It was
kind
so
of
2000s.
Yeah. We loved that. She's just a millennial like us at the end of the day.
Honestly, it is just like so Housewives, so Paris and Nicole coded. It's so like vintage silly banger. I like it.
I think the bottom line is the low road can be funny.
The low road can be funny. And which is going to kind of segue us into the other song that is making a lot of different headlines, which is Cancelled. Brie, do you want to take us through the context of Cancelled?
Okay, Cancelled. Cancelled is interesting, and I think people were questioning whether there would be a song on this album that referenced her famous friendships and ones that people have speculated in recent times may not be going so well. Names that came up were obviously Blake Lively is the main name that has come up. You know, there's been her friendship with Brittany Mahomes as well. We definitely get a reference to Sophie Turner in this song, which I think is really fun, and I'm so here for it. But Cancelled ultimately is Taylor talking about her friends that have been cancelled for whatever reason in the media. It's something that Taylor is an expert in being cancelled. She's done a whole album about it. She's talked about it a lot. And so because of that, she's kind of become the sort of caretaker amongst her friends, but also amongst industry people, you know, that reach out to her when it happens to them to say, well, how did you weather this storm? How did you survive it? And because she's been through it, and this is what this song is about, she's not quick to judge people. And she knows that you do actually come out the other side okay.
Yeah.
Generally.
And I think what's interesting is people, this is probably what you're referencing, people have been calling the song tone deaf because they're like, why is she singing about being cancelled? Like, cancellation's like really serious and there's people who've done awful things. The people she's referencing, like Sophie Turner and Blake Lively and like a little bit Selena Gomez as well, is like what they're being cancelled for. I mean, I don't know how the spillers feel about Blake Lively, but like what they're being cancelled,
50-50.
What they're feeling cancelled for in the case of Sophie Turner, etc., is not, they didn't commit a offense the way that we're talking about.
The Sophie Turner lyric we're talking about is like, did they catch you having too much fun? Which was the accusation against Sophie at the time that she was a young
mother out having dinner with Taylor out in the city.
Yeah, but it was like, you know, she's divorcing from Joe. And the reason that I made that connection was that she does in the introduction to the song say that like because this is her experience and her history, she now is known as the person other women in Hollywood call when they feel like they've been cancelled. And like Sophie and Taylor were friendly while she was married to Joe Jonas, but like it sounds very much like she called Taylor up and went, this is what's happening. I need a place. Taylor gave her place in New York City to stay. She took her out to dinner. She made sure that paparazzi saw them, that people knew she was aligned with her and throwing her support behind her, because she knows what it feels like when you get those headlines that are like, she's a party girl, she's the worst, she left Joe high and dry. So like there is that connection.
And how isolating it is, which I think, you know, Taylor has talked about a lot, and that was her experience with Reputation, and that she felt like she had to hide. So I think the wisdom that she's imparting to her friends is don't hide, because it didn't serve her well.
The Easter eggs I found interesting for Blake is that like none of us noticed that the jewelry Taylor is wearing in some of the Life of a Showgirl photo shoots is Blake's jewelry.
Yeah, so, which is huge, because that's been the story. I mean, we've talked about heaps on the spill that it looked to the naked eye, to the outsiders, that their friendship is completely over. And that's probably the biggest sign we've had that is absolutely not the case.
And I think it's interesting because this album was recorded last year before things with the lawsuit had really escalated. But I also think if she didn't feel that way currently, she'd have pulled the song, or she wouldn't be wearing the jewelry in the photo shoots, because the photo shoots were not last year.
No.
And so she's wearing a bracelet that Blake wore to the It Ends With Us premiere in one of the pictures, which is the picture on Spotify when you press play on the song.
And it was like a custom piece for her,
for the It Ends With Us premiere. She's wearing the Gucci earrings that Blake wore to one of the Met Galas. So like,
which Gucci is also referenced in the song.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she says like, you know, poisoned thorny flowers, obviously referencing like all the floral stuff. I think one of the most interesting lines is when she's like, tone deaf and hot, let's off her, because that was the whole thing with Blake, right? Like the whole campaign being, and there's so many in the song, there's a lot of Blake in this song, and it's not just her, but there's so many references and lyrics in this song that point to the exact things that were happening, of like, but the tone, like she's tone deaf, let's off her. That was very much the vibe, was that Blake was tone deaf and hot and she was annoying suddenly, when previously people had been like, she's so funny and we love her hair. Suddenly it was, I hate that girl and she has bad hair.
Yeah. I think interesting to note, because Taylor, when she does name drop a designer, she's not associated with any designers. So when she does name drop a designer, it's for a reason. She wore a lot of Gucci during the Reputation era, and in particular, one of the outfits that she wore in the Look What You Made Me Do video, but also on stage for that era. Yeah. So it's just those parallels that we always see Taylor
so she's referencing a time when she was cancelled. That's so interesting, because people read that in a very top level way of saying like she's dropping designers because she wants to show she's rich, which again, personally,
so
I didn't think, but I think when there's so much critique around an album, you're going to have so many different layers that people aren't picking up on. So that's an interesting one.
I don't think it's a surprise she's rich. I mean,
what a shocking,
what a turn of events.
What a shock. The woman who sells millions and millions of records has a lot of money and can buy Gucci.
It's interesting that's coming back to a time when she was feeling her most cancelled.
Yeah.
The other song that people think there's a famous name connected to, and this was the more tenuous one for me, so I'd love you guys to jump into this, is Father Figure, and the potential link to Olivia Rodrigo. Or first, is Father Figure a Divisive? You both just look down.
No, we just know what you're talking about.
Yes, we know what you're talking about. We've talked about this song a lot, and Tina was the first to read my review, which she read as we talked about earlier. Tina had to upload my review. So she read that before she listened to the album. And the one note that she sent to me was, oh my God, is this Olivia Shea?
Wow, you can pick it up just from that.
Well, I was scared. I was like, no, what's going to happen?
Look, this one is really divisive, and it's funny, and it is one that I have had comments from fans and non-fans, well, non-Taylor fans. I've had comments from Olivia fans saying that I'm wrong about this being about Olivia. And I don't think I am. I'm okay to be wrong, though, as well. Like, it is fine if I am. But to me, I do believe, and with the use of the George Michael song and the way that Taylor has really laboured the topic of how she sought full permission to use this song, which for spillers that don't know, there is a whole backstory with Taylor and Olivia who worked, Taylor took her under her wing. Olivia used two of Taylor's songs without permission, or without seeking the correct permission for it, and then had to backtrack, and Taylor and Jack's names were put on writing credits in retrospect. And we have not seen those two
publicly interact
ever since.
And there were rumours that Olivia's song Vampire was about Taylor. Like people thought that there was a connection there.
Yeah, that is true. So the other thing that people have said to me about it is, oh, well, like Father Figure, that's a male, there's the male son, the father-son relationship. Typically fans referred to Olivia and Taylor as mother and daughter, daughter, it's a thing. Not everything has to be literal.
Yes.
And I think that this is really fun to spin it and have it as a father and son. I also think Taylor has used the metaphor of, when she takes these people under her wing and, Gracie, Sabrina, she does see herself as kind of a caretaker of these new ones coming through because she has sat at all those tables with all those executive men.
Yeah.
And she has had to prove time and time again that she can stand up to them and has had to. So I think to cast herself in that light in this relationship, to me, makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I also read it, obviously, like you're saying, of the stuff that she had to deal with Scott Borchetta and Scooter Braun because she talks obviously about like the deals and the shadiness and the things that were going on behind the scenes. But obviously I think that's just informed it. And when this album came out, she had kind of said, a bit of 1989 beats with folklore storytelling. And that really upset people when the album came out and they heard it because they went, you were wrong. That's not what this is. But with Father Figure and a few other songs, I'm like, no, she is doing this narrative storytelling because look at all the discussions we're having about Father Figure, about Cancelled, about these songs and going, wait, who is this about?
Yeah, like
what does it relate to? What part is she playing in this song?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very clear at first to some people that it's about like Scott and Scooter, but maybe it's not. Because there is a key change and then she starts talking about how she's the father figure. So it's like it does seem to be her own interpretations as well of how she can lead women in the industry. That doesn't mean that it's all positive, her interactions, right?
Exactly.
She's clearly referencing some stuff that went down that maybe, or like at least we think she might be referencing some of the stuff that went down with Olivia along with the things that she herself experienced.
Yeah.
But also that then she does want to do a better job of guiding people like Sabrina and Gracie, those other artists. So it's a
complicated. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a Taylor
one.
Swift album if it wasn't layered and like full of bops, but also questions and all those things that us new Swifties are really getting into.
But I think this is an album Swifties who just like a bop will enjoy. Like people will enjoy this album and not need to care about
and like you don't need to know these backstories. It's fun. It's
fun.
part of being a Swiftie.
Yeah.
It's the Easter eggs. It's what we talk about. It's what Swifties talk about online. It's what we talk about with our friends.
Yeah.
But you can still enjoy the music without knowing all of this.
But there's a couple songs I have major beef with on this album. But
I was going to ask for like as we finish up now, like your favorite song from the album, which is hard. But you can also say the ones you have beef with quickly. Do a quick State of the Union.
State of the Union. So quick one. Track 5 is normally the song that is like emotionally fraught, really like powerful, like not always, but very often the track 5 of a Taylor Swift album is the big hitter emotionally. So this one was called Eldest Daughter and everyone was bracing for it because they were like, oh, like it's going to be really sad. It's going to be this and that. I know so many people who listen to this song, I think Bree's one of them, who really love it and who felt it or like at least really enjoyed it. I skipped that song the first 4 times I heard it and I skipped it at the exact same point, and it is when she says that eldest daughters are like lambs raised for slaughter and then they put on their outfits and they look fire, and I was like, I've had enough of you, Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I love
Sounds like that's a bit of a personal issue you're dealing with. That's come out
and
now.
you know what? It might just be the middle child in me. But
I was
it took a long
can we
time to
talk
be able
about
to
where
listen
you sit
where
in
I
your
sit in the family
lineup?
tree. I'm a middle child and I think I've had it with eldest daughter discourse and how every eldest daughter, I'm pretty sure there's 2 right here possibly. Are you an eldest daughter?
No, I'm a middle child and I had the same thing.
Are you an eldest daughter?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Did you skip it too? Because I was like,
I've
had it with these eldest daughters. I'm over you.
Imagine being the middle forgotten child. Also,
Exactly.
can you be an eldest daughter if you're the only daughter is my thing about Taylor Swift.
I think you can.
There was a lot of discourse on that this weekend. People.
You're the only girl. Who are you competing against? No one.
But I love the bridge of the
daughter.
song now that I eventually made it there.
Oh,
But I still don't like the song, but that's fine.
I am an eldest daughter. And
you feel seen now.
Well, I was
not as seen as you wanted to be.
No, that's the thing. I have to say, I really like the song. I don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the lamb to the slaughter part. That is actually my favorite part.
I mean, that's just good writing, isn't it?
Yes. And I do relate to being an eldest daughter.
Yeah.
As I say, I always look for the song that I relate to the most. This I thought would be it. Hands down, I thought it would be it.
Yeah.
I've also had the most eldest daughter year of my life, which I'm not going to go into right now. But I was expecting this to be a real gut punch for me, like we know track 5 songs are. This wasn't it, and I don't want to blame this, but I really would have loved to have seen this in the hands of Aaron Dessner.
Yeah.
Instead of
In someone
Max
else.
Martin and
Yeah,
Showgirl.
fair.
Yeah.
Look, my other skip is Wishlist. I don't care for that. But that's none of my business.
That's my least
Yes.
favourite too. And Taylor
Yeah.
says it's her favourite. And
So
maybe,
interesting.
Tina,
The discourse.
we're not happy enough.
Maybe we're wrong. I just don't care.
Maybe
like, I
we are
don't.
just not happy
And
enough.
that's fine.
I
But
mean,
what
that
is-
is what.
but
What are
what
your
is my
favorite? What have you
favourites?
been yelling along to?
I love the drama of Elizabeth Taylor. I love Fade. I love a lot of these songs. The one for me is Oh Polite. I'm rebranding it as a Christmas song because of the
It's
ho ho
fun. It's
hos
so
and the
fun.
bells. Like it is giving Christmas, and all these people hate it, and I'm just like bopping along in my
Yeah.
living room,
Who
being
hates
like,
it? I love that
"Yes."
song.
And it's Travis Kelce's too, so maybe it's me and him, two peas in a pod.
Oh my god, you, me, and Travis Kelce have the same taste in music.
And it's Graham Norton's favorite too, so we're in good company.
You,
We'll have a
me,
ball.
Graham, and Travis.
Yeah.
Our little
Yeah.
quartet.
What's your favorite?
So my absolute favourite is Father Figure. I have listened to it on repeat so
Wow,
much.
that's good.
I actually really do relate to it. That's weird. And I also love The Life of a Showgirl with Sabrina. I
yeah.
think it is so much fun. I love the storytelling on this, and I think that it goes back to that, classic storytelling that Taylor does, that we saw in Love Story, that we saw in, The Great American Dynasty, and a lot of the songs that also had that showgirl theming back in the day, like The Lucky One on Red and some of those earlier, real storytelling. It's a story that she has lived. And I don't think anyone is sort of better equipped today as a pop star to talk about what it means to be a pop star now. And then Sabrina speaks about it from that sort of up-and-comer perspective.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tina and Brie, for those very in-depth critiques and for sharing all your thoughts on this album. As anything with Taylor Allison Swift, so much to say, but we'll also link Brie's review in the show notes so you can read a more in-depth story there. But yeah, just happy to have you both here.